And we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Noah Clark. I'm joined by Sam Thompson in the commentary booth. You are watching the Formula 4 World Championship here today at Paul Ricard. Sam, we're here at Paul Ricard. Imagine you didn't just start a commentary. What do the drivers need to do today to secure a good victory here today at the French circuit?
Well, as I said, the strategy is key. Around this track. Obviously, qualifying position would be nice, but the strategy, in my opinion, plays more of a card than track position. And I think a lot of drivers will tend to know about this a little bit more than what I do. The tyre temperatures around this track can be awful. In qualifying, even after one lap, towards the end of your lap in sector 3, you could be skating around some corners down to the tyre temperatures being so high. So it is very difficult in qualifying to get a good lap, and obviously in the race it must feel awful on tyres, especially when you're on the softs, where in the first couple of laps they're already much slower than the medium and the hard tyres. So a lot of strategy will be considered here today.
I'm riding aboard of Maxro, who is the driver furthest ahead in the track, who has a valid time. LR Rez, unfortunately, did not set a valid time. Of course, Maxro has gone fastest in the second sector in this particular lap, but that may change as the times start to fly in. Dirtamo has just exited out of the second sector, and we'll see how he gets underway here today. And there is LRZ, who has an invalid lap at the moment on the medium compound tire. Let's bring up the tire graphic right there on the side so you can see exactly what the tires are on the car. Bugatti, for some reason, has the inter tire selected in the pit lane, but I'm not too sure why. Nonetheless, a little bit of a lockup in the final turn. Maxro is going to come across the line, and the time is going to be... It is going to be a 127.272. Not a bad time from the Renault driver as he puts himself at the top step of the sheets for the moment. Dirtamo is going to come in behind him by about 0.2 of a second. And here comes Mick Carlito. His teammate has gone on pole. And Mick Carlito is going to go third fastest ahead of Dirtamo. So the two Red Bulls, 1 and 3 at the moment, FRL Bread has gone fourth fastest. Dirtamo continues to drop down the order a little bit. Maybe that 127.5. Not the best time he could have gotten underway. FRL Ginger is going to come across the line in the Alfa Romeo, only sixth fastest at the moment. So the times are looking rather close. And VER Yannick, no, there's another Yannick. Oh my goodness. VER Yannick has gone fastest, so 127 flat right there, just about 1/10 of a second faster than MNT Ghost, currently sitting in second position. Isaac Kush, meanwhile, is coming out of the second sector. In the third sector, IFR Milan has gone 10th fastest, just ahead of his Ferrari teammate. I'm going to ride on board right now with the world champion, who is actually warming up his tires again, I think, for another run, so not particularly happy with his current lap he had. CRL Sia has an invalid lap at the moment, so he will not be setting a time. IFR Rowan, who won the last week's race after post-race penalties for Isaac Kush, is looking to have a repeat of fashion here today with a good race under his belt. Right now he sits P20, of course, without a time, so I suspect that will change. So at the moment, most drivers have set a time. If they are going to set a time, FRO Chapelelli on an outlap at the moment. Yannick has just about started his flying lap here today, so we'll see how the Renault driver can do. His teammate currently in the top 5.
Yeah, and two Yannicks on the grid, so it's going to be a little bit of a confusion, I reckon, for a lot of people. But it's Yannick on pole position in the Haas. That's VAR Yannick, not Yannick 11 at the moment, with a 1 minute 27 dead, which is actually a pretty impressive time. And Devon as well, putting up a pretty good lap there in second place in the McLaren at the moment. As we just watched the other Yannick, we'll have to consider some sort of name sort of thing to make sure we don't get those mixed up. Maybe Yannick for VER Yannick. I don't know. But anyway, watching Yannick, we'll figure something out. Let's be honest.
Sorry, Yannick. You're Yannick 11 now. You're not Yannick anymore. Yannick 11 has set the fastest sector in the. No, we have to do it because technically he has a J in his name. So unfortunately, Yannick, you were here first, but you do not get the correct pronunciation just due to Americanizations, unfortunately. Nonetheless, Yannick is on a lap right now in the third sector. He has set a fastest second sector and is looking for a good lap time here around Paul Ricard. He is currently sitting P15 of out of time. He's on the soft compound tire. He's about to come on the main straight. There he is across the line, and it's going to be a good... No, he goes slower, actually. So he didn't want to set a very good time. He sits there in P13 at the moment. Was the intention not to start in the top 10. We'll have to wait and see on that one. It is a short qualifying session, so there's not necessarily too much concern about what tires drivers are setting on, but Yannick does purposely slow down before the start-finish line. Vapor Nuth is still in the pit lane. Rez is back out on an outlap. Efrael Chapelelli, again, has invalidated his lap and is not going to be setting a lap time on this particular occasion. About 10 minutes left to go in the session, and he does not have a lot of time. Bugatti is Bugatti's on the inter tires on an outlap.
Yeah, there's pure reason for that. He's definitely going to be outside the top 10. This is what he wants to do, and the reason he's on the inters is so he doesn't have to use those medium tires, and I think that's what he's going to do. His final run is going to be the medium tires.
Now, I don't quite understand this, only because there is rain 45 minutes into the race, so I'm not too sure if he's going to necessarily need those medium tires that much. If we have a safety car at any point, that is, of course, going to accelerate when the rain comes into the race. Nonetheless, Bugatti is having a nice run on those green wall tires, and I never thought I would actually see that in a realistic, serious scenario in a Formula 4 qualifying session, but nonetheless, there you go. He is about to get in the way of a Red Bull, though, and well, hopefully he'll get out of the way of that Red Bull, unless it's Mick Carlito. It is, so he's on an outlap. Not too much to be concerned of at the moment. Nonetheless, I do believe, yes, M&T Ghost was on a lap before he invalidated in the turn, and he is going to have to go again at another point in time. And let's see who's on a lap right now. I believe Maxro is still on a valid lap right now and is slinging it through the chicane, about to come towards the end of Sector 2. We'll see how much faster he can go on this particular occasion. Coming down towards underneath the Fanatec branding right there, and he goes faster by about 1/10 of a second. So looking to put himself into the top 3 possibly if he can have a nice improvement in the third sector. Right now it is Yannick who sits there with a 127 flat, who about just a little bit faster than VER Devon. A pretty nice, impressive time from him. MNT goes a driver with a lot of talent who has set an invalid lap, so it was looking good, but unfortunately, MNT Ghost is not going to be going much faster. Here comes Maxro, though, coming down the line towards the start-finish line. Let's see where he goes, and he is going to go P2. A very nice time, only missing it out by about 0.02 of a second from Yannick. Maxro putting it on the front row of the grid for the moments.
Yeah, good lap from Maxro there on the front row now. I bet Devon's about to respond. He's just started a lap, so we'll have to wait for him. But Mick Carlito started a lap, but now he's already invalidated in the first sector, so he won't be going anywhere decent. Who's coming towards an end of the lap? I believe Ginger invalidated. A lot of people starting their laps at the moment, which is quite annoying.
LR Rez currently has set a fastest second sector. He's still on a valid lap time, so we can ride on board with the Racing Point driver and that very peculiar gradient helmet. I'm actually quite a fan, actually. So good on you. At least you look good on the helmet side, but can he look good on track with his time? We'll have to wait and see as he comes out of the exit there, coming towards the penultimate turn of this lap at Paul Ricard, right on the edge, but he does not set a time. So, interestingly enough, maybe he wasn't really that quick. It says he's on the mediums, but he's clearly on the softs, so I'm not too sure. I was actually a little unfortunate. I thought Bugatti might actually set a time on the inters, but I guess he's a little afraid that somebody might actually go slower than him. Nonetheless, Ciro Cia is coming in the second sector right now on a set of soft tires on a lap. We'll see how the AlphaTauri driver can get underway. I'm a little surprised, actually, to see LR Rez not set that time, considering he had a fastest second sector.
Yeah, Devon there. Brilliant lap time. A 26.8 there. We're into the 26s now. So Devon really putting the temps up a bit more now, so there's a lot more to think about. Ginger's spun through sector 3, so his lap is definitely not going to go through, and he'll be back into the pits. Watch out for Milan. He's coming towards the line. He's just got to get through the final corner. Looks like an alright lap by the looks of it. A little bit of a poor final corner there, but what's it going to be? It's up to 8th place for the Ferrari driver, so arguably an Italian driver in an Italian team. There, he's up into 8th place, and Ferrari haven't had the most amazing start to the championship for the constructors, but they're looking for a better second half to the season.
Efrael Schiaparelli, who has had a woeful season in all honesty, only sits 14th fastest at the moment, so not a great qualifying session so far for the Alfa Romeo driver, sitting down in the bottom parts of the timing sheets, because not a lot of drivers actually have times at the moment still. LR Rez, currently one of those drivers, had a few times with problems in off-track excursions, was setting a fast lap and decided against it. So drivers a little scared to actually set into that top 10. Again, there is the possibility of actually seeing rainfall in this race. It's 45 minutes into the race. That, of course, can change, and safety cars can accelerate that process. So we'll have to wait and see if that ever happens. Isaac Kush again invalidates his time, and he's got to be careful here. He may only have one more shot. I'm sure Isaac Kush will go slow on this particular lap and go for it again, but he has to be careful because he's had off-track excursions all qualifying long, and if he has another one come next lap, we could see him, unfortunately, not making it on into a timing sheet here, and he's going to be well down the grid order. And while it can be easy to make overtakes in some locations, it's going to be rather difficult, I think, from the back of the grid for Isaac Kush to find his way throughout the grid.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, they're going to play a strategy game, but as you said, there's potential chance of rain 45 minutes plus, so that comes towards the end of the race. So all drivers would obviously make a pit stop at that time, but sometimes that doesn't exactly mean that you're going to have rain 45 minutes into the race. Sometimes it could come like in the 30th minute into the race, so it's going to be interesting to see. What strategy people outside the top 10 have, and obviously inside as well the top 10. It's going to be starting on the sauce for them, but whether they're going to go for mediums and gamble of a potential start to rainfall midway through the race, well, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of different things that we have to consider in this race, it looks like.
And MNT Ghost we have to reconsider because he has put himself on the front row of the grid. LR Rez, again, has set a fastest second sector. He has been fast all qualifying long, apologies. But can he go up into the top 10? Does he want to go up into the top 10? Very quick times here. A big lock up there into the turn, though. Had a little bit of a problem slowing down the car. Is he going to abort this lap like he has in the past? He's coming through, and no, he does not. He locks up again. Another big lock up into the final turn. Goes rather wide out of the exit. Does keep it valid, though. He's coming towards the line. I have a feeling, though, this isn't going to be a great lap after those mistakes, and it is only going to put him 11th fastest. A really, really scruffy final sector for LR Rez, and that's only going to put him 11th on the grid, so not a great final time for him. Isaac Kush, meanwhile, has one more chance to get himself into any kind of competitive spot, even maybe put himself on pole. He's coming towards the end of Sector 2. Fastest in the second sector. We've seen a lot of drivers have really strong moments through the second sector. Can Isaac Kush hook it up in the third sector, though? Can he find himself on pole position here today? On the soft tire right there, coming through the turns, that little bank turn right there in Sector 3. We'll see here. Any lockups? No, pretty clear so far. He's going to come into the penultimate turn just about now, braking just after the 50-meter board. A bit of a lockup. Had a problem there, stopping the car. Another lockup into the final turn. Much better exit, though, than his other driver compatriot. Now coming down the start-finish line. It's going to be a good time, and it is going to be on pole. Isaac Kush saved it till the last moment, and he's put himself on pole position. What an amazing time from the championship leader, and he is going to be rather happy about that one. dethroning VER Devin, who set a fantastic 126, the first driver to make it into the 126s. Meanwhile, we got to keep on board FRO Ginger. He is back on track and looking to maybe snatch pole away. Oh, but an invalidation, and he's not going to do it. And Ginger, like many of his other drivers on track, has problems with track limits. This track is brutal when it comes to that little detail here. We have a lot of drivers on out laps who are going to be starting laps, so let's wait here and watch, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of drivers who have the ability to put it on pole, but Isaac Kush right now is your provisional leader.
Yeah, and Chapelele, I think, is the closest towards finishing his lap. I'm not sure who else is up the road, but Chapelele is quite far. He's now coming towards Sector 3 split. We'll have to see how far he's up. 6 tenths here, so Chapelele looking quite confident at the moment, but it won't be enough really to push him too far up. Maybe he is targeting that 11th place, which seems to obviously in this game seem to be quite creditable when it comes to some certain tracks. So we'll have to see what Chapelele does. Oh dear.
Man, another invalidation. It's been invalidation city for the Alfa Romeo drivers. Ginger and Chapelele both invalidate their final times. Chapelele's going to finish his lap. I'm just curious to see what the time would have even been, and it was going to be a 127.1. That was going to put him way up the order on the lineup, well into the top 10. Chapelele, unfortunately, does not make it in. We still have many drivers, though, on laps right now. FRL Bread is currently one of those drivers on a valid time. He's about to come towards the end of Sector 2. Fastest in the second sector, but he is actually slower than his previous splits. So I just think the second sector's bugged here in France. It seems that everybody sets a fastest second sector, which makes me feel a little bit bad about myself on my previous laps.
Devin spins the car. He was on really close to being an improvement to his time, but it looks like he is out of qualifying. He's not going to be getting pole here tonight.
Well, let's just wait a second. Yep, Yannick was on a good time, and he's about to come finishing his lap. He's coming through that penultimate turn right there, and Devin is going. Devin disqualified. Devin has been disqualified from the session, probably for stopping on track, so he is all the way down to the bottom. Let's put M&T Ghost at the top. Yannick comes across the line, and P2 it is. A nice improvement, but not enough, and Isaac Kush has put himself on pole position. I think the only driver who could snatch it away would be IFR Rowan. IFR Rowan's going to come across the line. Wait a minute here. Can he surprise the bunch? No, a 127.7. And IFR Rowan puts himself 16th on the grid. But what disaster for Devin. He's disqualified himself. He probably had a stopped on track penalty, which will disqualify you from the session. So he's all the way down to the bottom. MNT Ghost promoted for a moment up the P2. Down the P3, Yannick puts himself on the front row of the grid, but there it is, Isaac Kush, a 126.815. That is the pole position time here today at Paul Ricard.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it's very unfortunate for Devin, honestly. I mean, even if he did do something like slightly bad, like that's not exactly fair for him, and it's just unfortunate. It's the way the game is, really.
Devin is asking for a lobby restart actually in the chat. He's not wondering why he got disqualified. So maybe it wasn't a disqualification via a track restart. It just says he got disqualified for nothing, he's saying. So a little bit problems maybe in the game for him, but nonetheless it's a disaster for Devin, who has had a really nice season so far, and this is probably might throw a spanner into the works here. It's going to be very difficult to come up from the bottom of the grid. But I don't think he's going to get that request sorted for him with a lobby restart because it is just one driver. Unfortunately, things happen.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate for Devin, honestly. It didn't look like he was going to do anything wrong. He just spun the car sort of thing, and he was just trying to get back to normal, as he's just said in the chat. And, well, he just got a DSQ, and that's very unfortunate. I really doubt that we're going to get a lobby restart for it, though, because as you said, it's only one driver that is unfortunately affected. And Michalito, the admin of Formula 4, has said just blame the game, which, yeah, I mean, there's nothing really we can do about it, unfortunately, and I think it is just quite disgraceful that the game is like that. and hopefully we can get something like that fixed. But yeah, I doubt it now. We'll have to wait till next game to find that out.
We'll have to wait and see. Nonetheless, we are not going to be getting that session restart. It's going to be time for the French Grand Prix. Thank you so much for joining us. You're watching live coverage of the Formula 4 World Championship. We're on the formation lap here. There's your predicted pit stop strategy on the soft tire, soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, hard, depending if you want to go just a little bit longer, but the medium should last pretty equal on the second stop to the hards. So I suspect most drivers are going to go for that soft, medium, medium strategy and not worry about that soft, medium, hard. The hards are a pretty treacherous tire on this track. Those, of course, are your predicted pit stop strategies from F1 Insights presented by Amazon Web Services. And let's go over the starting lineup one more time for the French Grand Prix. And it's Isaac Kush, who has put himself on pole position here today, championship leader, looking to have redemption here at Paul Ricard with a win today. And VER Yannick on the grid for the first time here in Formula 4 this season, putting himself on the front row of the grid. MNT Ghost putting himself on third on the grid, was second for a moment after the disqualification from Devon. Maxro in fourth with FRL Bread rounding off the top five. TRT Tom are in sixth position. Mick Carlito had him having a very good qualifying session, putting himself in P7. IFR Milan in the Ferrari in 8th position. CRL Sia in 9th, and Dertamo rounds off your top 10. Let's bring up the tire details so you see everything that is fitted, and it's all hard tires down the grid except for one driver there at the bottom. Sasakir in 11th on the hards. FRL Ginger on the hards in 12th position. 13th for Vapor Noof. A lot of drivers which we expect to be near the top, much further down the grid order. Of course, Vapor Noof starting on the hard tire. LR Rez starts on the hards in 14th. Simply Rush on the hards in 15th. IFR Rowan in 16th position on the hard compound tire. Yannick in 17th position on the hards. FRL Chapelelli had a horrible qualifying session, didn't even get the set of time, putting himself down in 18th on the hard tires. Would have been near the top 5 at least. Bugatti, let's just say he didn't bother trying to set a competitive time. He puts himself on the hard tires in 19th. And VER Devon, as we mentioned, having that disqualification seemingly for no reason whatsoever, rather unfortunate. He is going to put himself on the medium compound tire, looking to dice up through the field. Isaac Kush, though, meanwhile, is going to line up on his grid position in first spot. Yannick alongside him, MNT Ghost in third with Maxro lining up on the second row of the grid. And we see Devon's car just lining up in that last position. A little bit of wheel spin, getting those tires warmed up. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, getting ready for those 5 red lights. It's time for the French Grand Prix in Formula 4. Just waiting for the lights to come on. We are waiting, and it's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here at the French Grand Prix. The lights are out, and away we go. And Isaac Kush gets a good start. Yannick's going to try to tuck in behind him. Going behind the racing point and coming in the turn 1, it's Isaac Kush who's going to lead away from the Red Bull. Looks to be in third position there, actually. A great start for me, Carlito. And it's a big jumble of cars at the back. There's quite a lot of ghosting.
Crash. Yeah, big crash. Ferrari's out. Well, not Ferrari's out, but Ferrari spun. There's a racing point at Haas. I think also a Mercedes spun. There's so many different cars spun, but I cannot tell who it is till this telemetry thing sorts itself out. But I think I've got a good idea of who it is now. It's still sorting itself out. You've got Tom R in there. You've got Yannick in there. You've also got a McLaren in there as well. A lot of cars in the end, I think, taking a little bit of a spin, and I think one of them was Devon as well. So Devon's sort of position in this race goes from bad to even worse here. He's down in 19th place. He's had a bit of a spin with some other guys, and, well, it is a bit unfortunate for all of them. But, yeah, big crash out of turn 2 there.
No safety car deployed. So as Isaac Kush leading away from VER Yannick, MNT Ghost is the man in third position. Apologies. Fifth place for FRL Bread. Maxro in fourth position. Mick Carlito actually upgrades himself in the sixth position here in the Red Bull. So it's been a good start for the Red Bull drivers. M&T Ghost staying in that third position slot ahead of Maxro. And it's been a big jumbling of the grid. You see their predicted pit stop strategy again for all the drivers, but I have a officials are spewing, and FRR Milan, and yep, there you go. Those are all the drivers coming into the pit lane and changing. It's actually only 2 drivers. I thought there was a little bit more damage for everybody, and this is a track where downforce is rather necessary to stay competitive. But meanwhile, Rez and Milan go into the pit lane, and Milan, unfortunately, actually is changing his front wing. We may see Rez jump ahead, given how far ahead in the pit lane that Racing Point is. Is he going to come out in the pit lane? I think he may come out ahead of the Ferrari. Yes, he does. Milan, double trouble. Rez comes out ahead. So rather unfortunate for Milan, given where he was on the pit lane. Isaac Kush, meanwhile, still leads this race ahead of Yannick, close behind by about 0.4 of a second. A little bit of wheel spin coming out of the chicane there. MNT Ghost sitting in third by about 0.6 of a second. Max Rowe in fourth, back by about 0.6 of a second. It's single file line right now with Paul Ricard.
Yeah, and everyone looking to be in a bit of a train at the moment, but perhaps Vapor Neuf closing in on Rowan. He's not going to get the move done just yet, but Rowan looking very edgy on the rear end there. Not surprising at all. Those hard tyres are going to be quite difficult to find that much grip. The soft tyres are difficult for grip around this track because of the temperatures. The hard tyres are quite poor as well, of course, because they're being the hard tyres, and that's what these drivers have to deal with, because apparently it's meant to rain later on in this race, so it's a bit of a gamble for these hard tyre drivers, because they could still do a one-stop, while if there is rain, obviously, towards the end of this race, and obviously for the soft tyre drivers, it may be a two-stop for them. So I think that's what all these drivers will be thinking about, so I do expect there to be a little bit more conserving going on for these hard tyre drivers.
And it is pretty much a single file line, not too many drivers looking to make overtakes this early on in the race. Those hard tire runners not going to have a very easy chance making those overtakes, given the lack of grip the hards still do have in general. Isaac Kush continues to lead, though. It does tend to become a bit of a single file line train here at the races here at Paul Ricard. But we can see some very nice overtakes for sure if drivers do make mistakes, and it does happen very easily here sometimes at Paul Ricard. So we will keep an eye out for the moment. But Isaac Kush continues to lead, though. Sam, it's been a pretty even start for most of the drivers, so it's quite a bit of ghosting, so probably not nearly as bad as it could have been given how close everybody was together. But we've kind of started to settle in now. What do drivers need to do to stay consistent here as they try to keep close to the car behind M&T Ghost, pretty close right now to Yannick by about 0.4 of a second, maybe looking for an attack come towards a couple laps later.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do for drivers right now is just stay in that DRS. If you stay in that DRS, crucially for the hard tyre drivers, to stay in that DRS with the soft tyre drivers, which Ginger is doing right now, it could be a very, very good day for the hard tyre drivers. But for all the soft tyre drivers, they have to stick in that DRS. If one of them gets out of it and Ginger is in Sia's DRS, for example, because Sia is very close to being out of DRS from Ditamo, then we could see Sia fall back quite quickly with the degradation of those soft tyres. So it's important now for that AlphaTauri just to keep up with the cars ahead of him to make sure he has that security sticking in 8th place till his pit stop.
I was running aboard of Vapor Nuth, who has been sizing up the Mercedes of Rowan. Rowan, unfortunately, has dropped back quite a fair bit, 2.7 seconds, the gap between him and Ginger. So Vapor Nuth has all the DRS to play with and is going to have all of the slipstream to play with, something for Rowan does not have to his advantage. So we could see an overtake rather soon for that position. Meanwhile, M&T Ghosts clearly may have a bit of a pace advantage here on Yannick than Yannick does to Isaac Kush, who continues to extend the gap little by little, lap after lap. Isaac Kush has to be really would love to break the slipstream there, and into the pits very early is Yannick and Max Rowe. So these soft tires, they quickly want to get off of them. Is it a little early there, Sam, for a pit stop?
Well, unless they're going for a two-stop, which is what I think they're going to do, then yeah, they're going for a two-stop because the mediums definitely won't make it to the end, but even the hard tyres won't make it to the end at this point. You have to get to at least lap 6, I believe, for it to be realistic, because these tyres, towards the end of their life, at the end of the race, you're in puncture territory. easily if you went on to the hard tyres at this point. But yeah, looks like a two-stop for Yannick. Looks like a two-stop for Max Rowe at the moment.
But is it a little bit too early given how much traffic they're going to have to go through? Should they have stayed out maybe a little bit longer? Or Isaac, Kush, and MNT Ghost, do you expect them to react to the pit stop?
I expect them to react, because obviously I think Yannick, especially maybe Max Rowe as well, will look to get the undercut done. And with these medium tyres much better, then yes, the undercut could be done. But in my opinion, it all depends.
I got a look in here under Tama going on the inside of me. Carlito trying to move up into 4th position. Oof. And I think he has the overtake sorted. And me Carlito still hanging it around the outside. But Dertamo with the superior traction out of the turn. Me Carlito may look to make a counter-offensive, though gets quite close to the rear diffuser of that Williams. But Dertamo, a very, very nice maneuver. Dertamo up in the 4th position. A sneaky move there as I think Dertamo's into the pit lane. Big lock up there. Did he hit the back of the McLaren of Brett?
Yeah, everyone in, except from Carlito, who I think has stayed out, and Ginger. Well, Ginger, of course, has stayed out because he's on the hard tyres. But this is really going to tell now. Yannick and Max Rowe come around the final few corners. This is important now for the leaders of the Tamo, etc. They're all on the medium tyres, so they're all favouring a two-stop. But more importantly, they could be all favouring that particular chance of rain soon in this race. But looking at the undercut, it has worked perfectly. Yannick into the lead, Max Rowe into 2nd place as well. So the undercut has worked an absolute treat for both these drivers. And not only that, if the rain does come, and it does come pretty soon, it's a very, very good strategy from Yannick and Max Rowe. But if it doesn't, then it could be a big, big blunder.
And looks on inside move for Rafael Chapelelli, almost on the Mercedes, has to lock up a little bit. Meanwhile, Mick Carlito does lead this Grand Prix. He does have to react, but has he reacted too late? Has Mick Carlito lost in this tire advantage? Maybe he thinks he can have the super overcut strategy and possibly get into the lead here. Maybe it could work out for him. We'll have to wait and see. But meanwhile, these drivers do have a bit of traffic to navigate here. And right now, Yannick, though, back by about 4 seconds from the rest of the pack. Bugatti is up into 6th position right now. It's a pretty close battle between Chapelelli and IFRO, and Mick Carlito into the pits as you would expect on lap number 6. He could go till the end on a set of hard tires possibly if he does so. It's getting very close with Chapelelli and Rowan now as into the pits. Now, where does Mick Carlito end up from this pack of cars? Yannick is coming just out of the final turn. Mick Carlito, I don't think he's going to be able to keep this lead.
Yeah, sorry for making a bit of a squeal there, but Rowan almost sending Chapelelli around. Chapelelli looking to go around the outside of turn 1, and then into turn 2, Rowan just closed the door on Chapelelli. Chapelelli keeping the car in a straight line, but at the moment he's got a severe advantage to Rowan, and even more so would he have an advantage if that DRS was if Rowan didn't have that DRS. And I tell you what, at the moment when you look at the difference in the ERS that these two drivers have got, speaking about Vapornoof and Rowan, it looks like Rowan could be in a bit of trouble if Vapornoof does decide to use quite a bit of it.
And we'll have to wait and see. Rowan, meanwhile, looks to have to defend from Chapelelli, who moves to the outside lane, not the particular location you look to make an overtake. Still hanging around the outside, and Rowan, how did he save that car? That lateral drift that Rowan just saved the car from, that was insane. But he keeps the car on the track and does slot behind Chapelelli. Unbelievable car-saving ability from IFR Rowan. A nice move to keep the car okay, but he does lose a position, and now Bugatti may be sizing him up. And we have another final pit stop for TRT Tom Aries, the final driver to make a pit stop in this race, off his set of softs at least. The hard tire runners still in this race. Ginger leads it from Vapornoof. 3.1 seconds is the gap. Bugatti is looking to size up IFR Rowan, who looks to be struggling on those hard tires, not quite getting them into a proper temperature range to get them into a working order. He's not able to keep up with Chapelelli, and he's going to be looking within his mirror soon because Bugatti, I think, is going to be on the attack.
Yeah, Bugatti looking quite close now to him. I do want to mention Devon. He's running a pretty good race at the moment, and he's just about to make a move. It looks like on Simply Rush to the inside. Then he's going to be braking much later, more confidently on those medium tyres. But he's running a really good race at the moment, up into 6th place, and I'm sure he'd be quite happy. However, I do think he would be perhaps a little bit higher up, say if he didn't have that, if he didn't get involved with that incident at the start, which probably wasn't even his fault. So really good race so far for Devon, but I'm sure he would have probably preferred not to have that spin at the start, where he probably could have been right up there with Vapornoof right now.
Meanwhile, it seems to be Bugatti and Rowan. Rowan pretty weak in the 3rd sector. That's where most of the time is being made up. You can see Rowan 8/10 back almost from Chapoli. He'll still have DRS, but Bugatti is going to have much more of a slipstream advantage, I believe. No, not a good exit for Bugatti out of the turn, the final turn right there. He's actually going to lose time even with the DRS. That's going to allow Devon to get more within striking distance, and he's going to want to do so quickly and get ahead of Bugatti and put himself into contention here for victory. The rain is going to come eventually. When will it happen? We don't know. I'm sure the hard tire runners are banking on a safety car, because if that happens, then we could see, we could very much see these drivers stay out, make a pit stop, and then they could find themselves in the lead of this race. So the medium tire runners may be in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, Yannick, though, Yannick continuing to close up on Janik, who sits there in 9th position. The provisional lead of the race goes to Yannick at the moment if we stay dry in this race, but we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Janik is closing up on I hate this! Is closing up on Sasek here for 8th position. This is stupid. Whatever. Sam, back to you.
Yeah, we're going to love this, aren't we? A Yannick battle, Yannick versus Yannick, to become the ultimate Yannick. We better stop it now. But I think if the rain was to come now, safety car or not, this is a brilliant time for the rain to come down for everyone above Sasakir. Maybe not Sasakir and Janik, because obviously Yannick is going to be closing in much quicker on the 2 drivers ahead. But then it's a 6-second gap for Yannick to make up after passing Sasakir. So if the rain was to come now, then it's perfect for the top 7. And just look at it, Devon. He's very close to Bugatti. Bugatti very close to Rowan as well. You said this before, Rowan really starting to struggle to keep up with Chapelele, and he's going to be completely exposed to Bugatti. Bugatti, much more overtake to use than what Rowan has, and also he'll have the DRS. As for Rowan, he will not. So this is likely going to be an overtake.
Not a good exit, though. Not a good exit for Bugatti, and I think he might have some trouble with Devon here, who's got the DRS on him. I'm sure he's using up a little bit overtake here. It's going to be a 3-wide battle as Rowan side by side of Bugatti. Bugatti trying to hang it on the inside, using as much curb as possible. Rowan stays ahead for the moment, though, but for how much longer? Bugatti getting a better exit. It's going to possibly go 3 wide as Devon looks to split it up the middle. Bugatti on the inside of Rowan. On the turn on the inside looks to be Bugatti, and Bugatti's going to make it stick. Now Devon trying to get ahead of Rowan. Rowan trying to hang it around the outside. He has the better line. Looks to have the traction, but no! It's Devon who gets ahead of the Mercedes, and Rowan loses a couple of positions in a couple of turns. A very nice little battle right there. Meanwhile, it's Yannick versus Janik, and Yannick gets ahead of Janik. Janik might hit the back of Yannick, and I'm just going to stop. Isaac Kush, though, looking to get ahead of Janik at the moment there in the racing point as he gets quite close with that battle of those drivers. Sasek here is backing up his teammate a little bit. He might look to get out of the way, given how old his hard tires are. And you can see right there even Yannick kind of swivering around saying, come on, get out of the way. I need to make this position up. Meanwhile, Isaac Kush gets the move. A move on the inside from the Haas drivers. They switch positions, and Yannick moves up ahead. Now, will Sasek here hold up Isaac Kush?
I reckon he might do, because obviously they're teammates, but I don't think Yannick's actually in for the full-time drive. But Sasakir definitely looking like he's holding up a little bit on Isaac Kush, but Isaac Kush hasn't exactly gone aggressively to attack Sasakir at the moment, but it looks like it will be an easy move here for this one, both with the DRS, but a much better exit from Isaac Kush, and Yannick actually given Isaac Kush a little bit of a slipstream there. So Isaac Kush then getting much closer there. As look at that macro going through from Yannick, and also M&D Ghost looking very close to him indeed, but a poor exit there, perhaps to do with the fact that they're all squabbling for position. But M&D Ghost maybe looking for the move into the next two corners here. Yannick on the hard tyres, he's going to have much less grip. Down the inside goes M&D Ghost. He hasn't fully sent it just yet, but he's still got it there on the medium tyres. Should have a lot more grip there. But look at Yannick on the inside. He's kept the position there, so M&D Ghost not getting past him nice and easily, and he's still got to defend from him. And it looks like now he's finally got past the Renault. So brilliant battling between the two of them. Very respectful battling between the two of them. But M&D goes up to 12th.
And Efro Chapeloli at the moment, though, in third position, continues to size up Vapor Noof, who has dropped back from Ginger. 1.6 seconds is the gap. The clouds are very, very cloudy up there in the sky, and they may be looking for rainfall. Chapeloli almost lost it there. A little bit too much power down on the car, and he drops back quite a fair bit from Vapor Noof. So at the moment, he's going to have to reserve himself. Look at Devin, though. He's looking to make a move on Bugatti. Moves to the inside line, coming towards the chicane. He may even make it before they come into the chicane. Yes, he does. A very easy move for Devin, and now he moves up in the fourth position.
He's overshot it a little bit. I think he'll keep position just for now, but he's overshot it a little bit, and this does give Bugatti a little chance to potentially go side by side after this corner. Will he use the overtake, or will he have the slipstream to do so?
Rain! Here comes the rain! The rain is coming down. It just flashed on my screen, so it is raining now here in France, and this is not what was needed for Yannick. This allows the hard tire runners, if they can just last a little bit longer in this race, they can move to the intermediate tires at bare minimum, and they could possibly keep the lead of this race. Sia is out of the session. I'm not too sure what happened, but he is going slow. Looks like he may have had a disconnect. There was a slight yellow flag for a moment there, but the rain is coming down at Paul Ricard, and this is playing beautifully into the hard tire runner's hand.
Yeah, watch Yannick. Yannick into the pits already, so very early, but there's something I know about France. Whenever it does rain, for some reason it rains so much that it literally is difficult to drive as soon as it starts raining. So a very, very interesting, well, from all my experiences, when it has rained at France, it seems to be wet as soon as it starts raining. So interesting decision there from Yannick, so we'll have to watch out to see how he does. He'll come out of the pits and he'll come out in free air as well, so it would be likely we'll see some good pace from him, but I wonder if anyone else is going to try and do this as well. But look at the track line already. It's started to get quite greasy on there already. It is quite visible to see. Let's watch the drivers, though, on board. Let's see how they can cope with this. I'm on board with Chapelele right now. This is going to be a difficult couple of corners here. Does he lift is the question. He doesn't lift through here. No, he doesn't. So it looks like we're still stuck in dry conditions just for now, but it does look like things are closing in very quickly. Vapor Noof and Chapelele with no ERS pretty much left. I wonder if these two are going to go into the pits this lap just to make sure they have it for that, but I don't know who's going to come into the pits. Ginger, no, they're not all coming into the pits.
I don't think it's ready yet. There's not a lot of oh no, the spray. Oh, that was a lockup. Sorry, actually there, but looks like Vapor Noof is struggling a little bit because Chapelele right up on the back of him. Is he going to make an overtake here in these tricky conditions? Vapor Noof moves to the inside line to defend from Chapelele. Chapelele's going to have the outside line, going to try to hang it around the outside. Now has the inside line. Vapor Noof closes the door on him and says, "You can try another time, sir." Chapelele says, "Okay, I'll try." Vapor Noof now staying ahead in second position in the Williams. The Alfa Romeo trying to find a way past Vapor Noof. He now has the ability to make that attack again. Is he going to have troubles like he did on the last time, putting too much power down? We'll see. It looks like it's pretty smooth. Vapor Noof in second position is trying to break the slipstream, and you have to be careful here. You can't double move. So Vapor Noof has made his move. He moves again, though, actually, to break the slipstream. He may get into trouble right here, and Chapelele. Now, Sam, I do believe it's a maximum of one move to break slipstream. You cannot weave down the straights.
I believe what you can do is you can change the line at one time, but you are allowed to go back to the racing line as long as obviously you're not conflicting the other driver. I believe you are allowed to get back on the racing line. But obviously after that, you cannot move your car anymore. You move your car anymore, then yeah, it's a penalisation. So I think from Vapornoof, I don't think that'll be wrong for him at all. I think he will be fine with that. But again, rules are different in different leagues. I'm intrigued to see how the pits goes coming into the pit lane here. It's a very interesting one. Actually, the pit lane entry here, it's not exactly the easiest one to get correct because you can easily forget that the corner actually requires a little bit more braking, and in the wet conditions as well, as it will continue to get more slippery, I reckon there will be a bunch of drivers completely missing it and completely bluffing up that entry, so we'll have to watch out for that. But a lot of drivers now probably considering the intermediate tyres soon, but at the moment it is definitely not ready for the intermediates.
What I find very interesting is Yannick, since this pit stop he's got on, and you can see the spray is actually starting to pick up a little bit. We may see DRS deactivated soon. It's very interesting. Yannick really has not been able to catch up really at all to the drivers ahead. It's been rather, it's been pretty quiet. You would expect that these medium tires would start to come into their range now, given the hard tires almost a half of a race old, but they're just not really firing up. They're not quite getting that advantage. He is starting to pick up a little bit now in Simply Rush, but it's still quite a bit far back.
Yeah, at the moment, I don't think Yannick's going to make too much time up anyway. The conditions probably mean that he has to be more cautious at the moment through the corners, and I wonder if that is the case. But those medium tyres, they will start to drop off a little bit now, so the gamble could have worked if the rain came a little later, but it doesn't seem to have come a little later. It seems to become sooner, and first driver into the pits, despite Yannick, is Chapelele. So Devin as well into the pits.
Yep, Devin had the pit because he was getting eaten up by Bugatti, so this is kind of a forced pit stop on his part. But Chapelele, the first of the hard tire runners to decide to make their pit stops, onto probably is a set of inters. Yes, it is. So a set of inter tires going on for Chapelele. It may be a little bit forced by him in terms of how wet it is out track, but it is looking rather greasy out there. There is a bit more spray coming off the tires.
Puncture. There's a puncture, I think, for Rez. I don't know how he's got that puncture on that front left side. He's completely missed the pit lane, but he's going to go in anyway because he has that puncture. But after 13 laps on the mediums, bit surprised about that. I wasn't expecting that. That's relatively early.
Yeah, it is a puncture, but he was quite far back, so unfortunate for him. But yeah, most of the grid is now switching on to the intermediate tires. They think it's time now. The DRS has not been deactivated yet, meanwhile. We still have DRS on track, and that's usually when I say the cutoff time is. Once it's DRS is off, it's time to come into the pit lane, but it has not been turned off yet. Meanwhile, Vapornoof is getting up towards Ginger, so Ginger is not having a relatively easy time here on this track, and I think he's going to make his pit stop. Who is going to come out into the lead of the race, though? That is the big question. I think that Chapelele may find himself in the lead here, and yes, a pit stop for Ginger. Vapornoof is not going to follow. Vapornoof stays out, so he is going to take the lead of the race for the moment, but is it a little too late for him at the moment to be staying out? Is the rain really, it is really starting to pick up here, and I think DRS is going to be deactivated any moment now, as it is getting rather heavy out there. The track clearly having a very greasy line. We'll see how long Vapornoof can stay out. Bugatti as well stays out, so does Rowan. Simply Rush as well staying out. All the medium tire runners as well have been staying out. These leaders of the race pretty much, except for Isaac Kush, Ginger, Maxwell, they've pitted now. Most of the grid has switched onto the intermediate tires. CRL is, unfortunately, he's disconnected, so that's the reason why he's still on the medium tires, but maybe that's an indication. Maybe you shouldn't be stopping yet. Is it too early, or do you think it's right in that middle window where you could go on the entries, you could go on a set of slicks? It doesn't really matter. Pace is going to be relatively the same.
Well, if you look at Chapelele, he's been out for one lap, and he's lost a lot of time to his teammate Ginger. Not an insane amount. Not like it's not like Yannick or anything that lost around like 11 seconds or something in like 2 laps. But he's lost around 3 seconds from his teammate there, and he is going to be at the moment sticking it out in second. But is it a bit too early? It's a bit hard to say at the moment. They're both seeming to be walking around quite a lot on this track. not rushing around or anything. Seems to be a bit of a cautious ride at the moment, but I think now it is time for the intermediates to get on as Vapornov goes quite wide there into the pit lane, but it looks like he gets into the pits just fine. But everyone, I reckon, will now be putting on the intermediates. If there's anyone that doesn't...
I think another puncture for Rowan. Rowan picked up a puncture. The hard tires have actually punctured for him. So it was right at the end there, I think, for the hard tires. Dirtamo stays out, so he's going to take the lead. But is it too late now? Or is he staying out too long? M&T Ghost as well does stay out. Yannick actually comes into the pit lane to put on the inter tires. We're going to have to wait and see if this works out for drivers like Dirtamo.
This is going to be close. Look for the battle for the lead. Ginger versus Vapornov. Vapornov gets into the lead. He has made the strategy call perfectly. And I think Bugatti has as well. Into third place, beats out Chapelele here. So now we're all on the intermediate tyres. It looks like they've got a new leader of this race. Two still staying out though. M&T Ghost and Tamo, which in my opinion is quite interesting. Where would they come out? It looks like they'll come out around P10. Maybe they could move up a few positions and maybe be on the back of Devon here. So very close for these two. They're the only two still out. And at the moment, they seem to be quicker, but Tamo making a little bit of a mistake there. So mistakes being made, but M&T Ghost in the lead of this race now. But, well, I think there's been a few interesting moments in this last couple of laps.
And it looks like Vapornov is gaining time on the back of their Tamo, so I think it is switchover time. DRS, I don't believe it's been deactivated yet. So, did you see DRS deactivated? I didn't see the graphic come up.
Neither have I at the moment, so
we're going to have to wait and see. M&T Ghost and Dirtamo still out on track. Will they be pitting at the end of this lap? Is it time to switch over for themselves? And yes, that is the answer. M&T Ghost and Dirtamo make their pit stops, but is it a little too late for them? This may be the end of their races in terms of getting in the top 5 at least. Vapornov is going to come around the final turn, and Vapornov is going to find himself in the lead of this Grand Prix ahead of FRL Ginger. Bugatti in 5th position. Chapelele has had a horrid qualifying, much better race result here. He puts himself well up the grid order. It's been a masterful drive from him. Bugatti as well, the same. Ginger sitting there in 2nd position, a little bit further up the grid in qualifying than his teammate was, but still impressive nonetheless. So Vapornov on lap number 19 has been leading this race, and we have a crash, and it's Rez who spun the car out on the inter tires. So I'm not too sure what happened there, but he had a pretty big spin, and that's a yellow flag there in the 3rd sector. He's letting by somebody. I don't know who he's letting by. He gets back on track, and he doesn't have any damage. Not too sure what happened right there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure at the moment either. Is it Kush, though, now up to 8th place? That's because Dino and Ghost have pitted in. Well, that's lost them a lot of time, isn't it? We said about this before their lap started. They looked like they could have been in the mix for where Devon is right now, but they seem to have fallen back. Simply Rush at the moment in 5th place. That's quite a good push up from him. There's a lot of drivers moving up and down. Talking about a driver that's had a bit of a down day, it is definitely Rez who has retired from the race. He's the first retirement of this race, in fact. So that's good to see that a lot of the drivers are staying within the lobby. We're still watching Rowan right now. He's right on the back of Simply Rush, but no overtake for now, and it's very tricky through sector 3 to get an overtake done.
It's been a very good couple of races for Simply Rush. Ferrari in general have been picking up some great results here. Rowan has a really deep run into the turn there. Does lose a bit of time. Looks like he almost is going to enter the pit lane, given how deep he went into the turn there, and that's going to allow Simply Rush to have a bit of an advantage. Meanwhile, Devon is going to be right on the back, and I think, I'm pretty sure DRS is out. I haven't seen the graphic, but no, it isn't. It's still active. This is pretty crazy given the conditions on track. I'm surprised they haven't deactivated DRS yet, because it is getting pretty spray out there, and the conditions are getting pretty bad. But nonetheless, drivers still have DRS to play with in this race at the moment. That's going to allow them to have a much easier time keeping up with the driver ahead of him, looking to possibly make an overtake at some point.
Yeah, and I'm just really watching this midfield fight. There's not much to go off at the moment. I'm waiting for someone to make some particular move. Could we see that Kush maybe making a move? No, he's too far Maybe Rowan making the move here. He's going to try send it. He's a bit far back, though, on Simply Russian. As you said, I'm very surprised. Why has DRS not been disabled yet? It's still open. However, all the drivers on intermediate tyres, and it is clearly intermediate conditions because the medium tyre drivers of MNT Ghost and Tatamo were losing so much time. So, very interesting. Speaking about MNT Ghost and Tatamo, they're battling right now, and Tatamo looking for the inside for the final points position, and he may just have it to the inside. Is he going to squeeze on the outside? He's having a little trouble with getting the foot down, and it looks like MNT Ghost is going to keep the position just about from Tatamo there, squeezing him off wide. That is obviously out. I feel like that was pretty good defending there from MNT Ghost. But looking at Isaac Kush now, he's side by side with Devon, so it's a drag line to the next corner. Both got DRS, both got ERS as well to play with and use up, but it looks like Devon has the straight line speed to keep in 7th place, but Isaac Kush almost hitting the of Devon there, which was good that he didn't. Oh, Bugatti!
No, Efro Brad, he's have a crash. Efro Brad
Bugatti as well. But Bugatti's been spun by Chapelele. They were going side by side. I was looking at going on Max Rose round as well. What on earth has just been happening these last couple of corners? We've seen Bugatti lose a position, and he could lose another one here to Rowan. So very frustrating lap for him. He's lost out to Chapelele there, who's in 2nd place. Good day for the Alfa Romeo so far, but for Bugatti, not happy. Look at Rowan on the inside. Now he's round the outside. Is he going to get the grip to be able to get past Bugatti? No, he's not, but Bugatti having a slight little twitch there could open the door back up for Rowan, but positions his car quite well. So Rowan is stuck behind Bugatti, but I don't know what's been happening these last couple of corners. A lot of drivers making mistakes, a lot of drivers being spun, and yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But a second retirement.
The problem is, it's still apparently, according to the game, it's still not fully wet yet because they still have DRS active. So while the drivers clearly believe it's time for inter tires, the game believes it's still okay to have DRS open. So there may still be a little bit of problems here. As you ride on board there with Efro Chapelele, he's got his rear flap open, looking to chase up the Ginger. So DRS is still open. Technically, in the game's eyes, it's still dry enough for that, so drivers may be having problems. Simply Rush almost gets overtaken by Bugatti, and Cyril Cia right there getting lapped now after the disconnect. And look at this, Bugatti is having some really nice runs on Simply Rush. She was having problems keeping up. We have had a spin, and I think it's one of the Renaults, and yes, it is Maxro who has had a problem, and he is off track and gets back on track, but Renault having a pretty horrid day after having a nice qualifying position there. Maxro down in 14th position, 26 seconds back from Mick Carlito, and Maxro picks up a penalty for insult to injury. Look at this. Chapelele is really sizing up his teammate. Are we going to see the two Alfa Romeos go at it with each other as Maxro is retired from the session? And there is an overtake, I think, from Bugatti on Simply Rush. Bugatti finally getting past the Ferrari, who does have a penalty, as well does Rowan. If we look up the detail on the penalties, it's 5 seconds for actually Simply Rush, only 3 seconds for IFR Rowan. So Simply Rush, I believe, has picked up a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Simply Rush may look to make a counteroffensive, decides against it for the moment, stays behind the AlphaTauri, and I don't think he's going to be finding a chance for another overtake again unless there's a mistake. Meanwhile, looks like the McLaren of Devon is trying to catch up to Yannick. He's at Kush is right there in the mix as well. Moving back to Efro Chapelele, though. He is getting quite close to the back of his teammate. Ginger has really bad traction out of the final turn there. He still has DRS Chapelele. He's now going to move to the inside line, and he is going to take the position from his teammate moving up in the P2. So the Alfa Romeo swap positions. Was it teamwork, or was it simply an overtake of speed? We don't know, but Chapelele nonetheless up in the P2. Now 5.8 seconds to make up. I don't think he's going to be making up that time on Vapornooth, who was on much newer tires by 2 laps, actually. Vapornooth not only made this strategy work out for him, but he has much newer tires because of it, and because of that, he has a much better pace advantage to Chapelele.
Yeah, it looks like Vapornooth is going to win this race.
There's been a pit stop, by the way. I want to mention here, TRT, Tom R. and Milan have switched to soft for some reason. I'm not too sure why.
they're going quicker. Milan's going quicker than the intermediates. What an interesting scenario this could be. I don't think they're going to be going quick enough to really...
Look at this. The grease has disappeared.
Race,
the grease has disappeared a little bit on track, it looks like, actually. If I'm looking on board of Milan, it's not as wet as it was before. Is the rain letting up? This is very, very interesting development here in this race. Lap 23 of 27. Is it too late, though? Too little too late for the rain to be switching over to a more dry conditioned track. But we do know in this game that the rain, when it disappears, it dries up much quicker than it goes wet.
Yeah, well, I can't see them really making an impact, unfortunately. It's quite late, really, for this to happen. But I tell you what, it's not going to be very good. It's going to be quite uncomfortable, I reckon, for Ginger and particularly Chapele.
Look at this four-way battle, though. Devin on the inside of the Haas of Yannick, and Devin gets almost ahead. A drag race down the line. He may be looking to get ahead of Rowan. Now he's going to move to the inside. A crash for Yannick, and a side-by-side of Devin and Rowan. Rowan still has the inside line, pushing the McLaren off track, and now he's at Cush. May look to get involved. He's side-by-side with the McLaren, gets ahead of the McLaren. Now Devin has a big dive on the inside, it looks like. He can't make it work, though, and he's at Cush, stays ahead. Rowan looked to push the McLaren off track, and Yannick had a problem. He's now down in P11 and has actually lost the position, and a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. He cut across track, unfortunately, and he has had a big penalty slapped on him. That's going to lose him a lot of positions, I think. And another pit stop. Carlito moves on to the softs. Is it time to switch over? Is it too dry out track? Are the inter tires not the right tire? I have hiccups right now, Sam, if you want to continue.
I mean, I think at the moment it's a bit too late, as Dotamo and M&D Ghost getting very close together. A lot of battles towards the end. Yannick right now, I think his front wing is not paying him any endeavours, and I feel quite bad for him. He had a good battle with I think it was Isaac Kush, and Isaac Kush just narrowly touched his rear end, which obviously meant for Yannick was spun right into the wall. But with the soft tyres, they are quicker, yes, but I think it's a bit too late now. So I think in terms of points, those drivers are not going for points. They're going to hope it's going to dry up well enough to potentially, obviously, go on to get at least that fastest lap. So we'll have to wait and see towards the end of this race, but at the moment it's a clear win for Vapor Neuf, and then Chapelet and Ginger look fairly quick for second and third at the moment.
It's been a nice race for those top three. So the track is drying. Now the big question is, we only have 3 more laps to go in this race. The rain would have to stop, and it would have to dry up quite a bit for those soft tire runners to come into the fray. And Yannick doesn't even finish the race. He just retires in the pit lane. He did stop for a set of soft tires, it looks like, and he just retires. So Yannick is not happy, and he is going to be out of this race. We have had 4 DNFs in this race. Many of them, pretty much all of them actually, I think, have been intentional DNFs in the pit lane. So unfortunate for some drivers. The Paul Ricard track not working out for all of them. And the Haas does come back out on track. That is why there are yellow flags in the first sector. But yes, Vapor Neuf leads away by 7.7 seconds right now from Chapelelli. And you saw something happen.
Well, I'm just looking at the tyre temperatures on the dashboard. I can narrowly see them. They're picking up to 100 degrees, which is the normal temperatures you'd see for the soft tyres here. So these tyres are going to be awful in the next couple of laps. So Chapelelli's decided to hit. He doesn't believe that he doesn't believe in these intermediates. So this means that Chapelelli's probably given up a podium just to get all these tyres. I wonder, actually, if he thinks that they're going to burst anytime soon, and they do look horrific, and it does seem to be the same for the other Alfa Romeo. So all of these guys, I'm guessing, perhaps could be pitting quite soon for the final lap. Otherwise, they do risk a puncture here.
We'll have to wait and see. We have 2 laps to navigate here. Vapor Neuf is not over yet with this race, and you can see the rain just really isn't giving enough traction for these intermediate tires. They're really just running on pavement right now. There's little next to no spray from the back of that car, so he could be in danger territory for a puncture. as he's using a lot of curbs. He's using all the track up. We could see a problem here for these inter-tire runners. We could see a puncture. We'll have to wait and see. We have 2 laps to go in this race. Chapelet is the only driver to react, though, and he is actually outside of the points by 4.8 seconds. And it's going to be rather interesting to see if, in fact, we do see any punctures. Chapelet is a driver with a lot of knowledge, but was this a blunder pit stop? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we do have an overtake between MNT Ghost and Dirtamo going side by side, and it looks like Dirtamo has the advantage. Oh, almost some contact there as Dirtamo had to overcorrect a little bit. MNT Ghost has the inside line still. I think he's going to have the traction advantage out of the turn. Dirtamo still hanging in there, and they're banging wheels of each other. Dirtamo still on the inside and a spin. Dirtamo hit by MNT Ghost. MNT Ghost kind of came across him a little bit, and unfortunately Dirtamo has been spun around, and that's it for that little battle that we've had pretty much all race long. Meanwhile, we have 1 more lap to go. Those tires must be absolutely heated right now. Can you see closely on the tire how much those tire temps are right now?
They seem to be alright, actually, at the moment for Ginger. It must have been a thing with Chapelet. Then, because for Ginger's tyre temperatures, it seems actually alright. I can't see Vapor Nuf's, unfortunately.
Look at this, though. Look at Simply Rush. Simply Rush is... he does have a penalty, but he could get a podium, at least on track. Be a nice confidence booster for the Ferrari there as he's really catching up on a struggling AlphaTauri.
Didn't you say he got hit in the pits or something? You said someone perhaps got hit behind in the pits. If that was Simply
a little
Rush...
further back in the race, I thought. But he makes the overtake pretty easy on Bugatti. Does Bugatti have a problem on this car? Because he is not really... He's pretty slow right now.
Yeah, well, I think the intermediate, so at the moment, require these drivers to slow down. Ginger's lost a lot of time, really, to the guys behind. So I wonder if Ginger's had to basically coast around these corners to make sure he makes it to the line. Like I said, I think some of these tyres are actually on the verge of having punctures, and I think Ginger's is one of them that could have a puncture very soon, and he's just skating around the corners, getting through the final depths of his
Nonetheless, though, we got to go back to Vapor Nuf because he's going to come around the final turn. It's been an amazing race for the Williams driver, and he is going to win his 2nd race of the season. Vapor Nuf comes across the line. He's going to win the French Grand Prix. Ginger is coming around the final turn very gingerly, and he is going to finish in 2nd position, and FER Simply Rush will be happy at least to get the podium on track, but Bugatti is going to snatch it away.
Yeah, and Isaac Kush gets a puncture then, so the
Devin as well,
leader,
I think, has a puncture too. He's dropped back quite a bit. Yes, on the rear.
Oh, my word. Oh, my God. So Ginger had one as well. Luckily, he crossed the line, but for Chapelet, he's moved up to 7th from that, almost up to 6th place there. And Dirtamo, I think, has been in a few instances, maybe not faring well for him, though, I think. But at the end of the day, what a day for Chapelet. 7th place then in the end. Yes, it could have been a podium, but, you know, at least he hasn't got a puncture like a lot of these drivers have. Rowan's got one. All these intermediate drivers have a puncture. So, yeah, that's exactly what's happened, really, for everyone on these intermediates. And I said about a puncture, a lap later, then it could have been an absolute joy for Chapelet. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think he'll be happy with 7th, considering a few corners to go, he was still stuck in 11th place.
Yeah, and he could have had a puncture for himself there. But Vapor Nuf, he wins the race. FRL Ginger picks up a podium with a puncture near the end of the race right there, and Bugatti gets up onto the podium. Simply Rush, you got to give it to him, though. He had a really nice race for himself, and Bugatti picks up Driver of the Day. And you can't argue with that too much. It was a pretty masterful strategy. Ginger as well. Vapor Nuf much the same. But I got to give it to the Ferrari of Simply Rush, who's had some great races and really a nice drive there. Vapor Nuf giving us a Ginyu Force style dance there of cringe. And there is your podium right there. Vapor Nuf winning the race. Ginger in 2nd. And Bugatti picking up the podium position right there. And that was your French Grand Prix. And it was a very nice race. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go to Sam because he talks too much. I'm not going to be able to go over the last the rest of the grid order. Vapornoof wins the Grand Prix. FRO Ginger in second. Third for Bugatti. FVR Simply Rush in the Ferrari in fourth. Fifth for MNT Ghost. Dertamo in sixth. Seventh for FRO Chapelelli. IFR Rowan in 8th position, 9th for Sasakir, 10th for VER Devon, Isaac Kush in 11th position, 12th for Mick Carlito, TRT Talmar in 13th, 14th for Yannick, IFR Milan in 15th position, CRL Sia in 16th, VER Yannick, Maxro, FRL Bread, and RL Rez do not finish the race. They all retire from the race on their own merit. Finishing time for Vapornoof, 44 minutes and 1 second and 7/10 of a second. And that is it. That was your French Grand Prix. Sam, you may now talk. What did you think of that one?
Well, I think it was quite underwhelming until the end there, where like everything completely went upside down pretty much for all of it. But I think Vapornoof on the intermediates, he had insane pace. He clearly was quicker than any other driver on this grid in the wet conditions. So obviously he was well prepared for those conditions. So yeah, it's a well-deserved win for the Williams driver.
A very nice race for sure. So let's get into the showroom. I'm sure you're going to invite some drivers, and hopefully we can get some interviews. I'm sure Vapornoof will be happy at least to talk about his second race win of the season. A very nice season Vapornoof is putting together right now. Isaac Kush finishing a little bit further down the grid order. Is that going to change things in the championship?
Most certainly. Of course it will. Down in 11th place, we have a new championship leader, don't we, now? That will be in Vapornoof, of course. And he's quite clear, actually, now, because there was only an 8-point gap, so he'll be 8 points clear now of the title. So the tables are basically turned on its head, and I think he'll be quite excited to get to next race next week.
And we're just going to wait now, and hopefully we can get some interviews with the drivers who finished this race in the podium positions. What?
Who finished third again? I think it was Bugatti, wasn't it?
It's Bugatti, Ginger, and Nuth. Nuth won, Ginger second, Bugatti third. Come on, keep up, lad.
I got the top two. I just didn't know who finished third because a lot of people in contention for it. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully someone joins us. Knowing Vapornoof, he'll join us. Not too sure about Ginger.
Nuth likes to talk a lot on the comms, I find.
It's just a waiting game now.
Yep. I was going to play the Jeopardy theme song. I don't want to get any copyright strikes, though, for the PSGL channel. I'd probably get sacked the next day. Oh, nope, it's going to be Ginger next who joins in. First, FRL Ginger, you finish on the podium. It was a quite crazy race, and we believe you picked up a puncture there. Unfortunately, knew if you joined in too late, so Ginger gets first bit dibs. Talk us through your talk us through finishing second on the race there.
Yeah, picked a hard strategy. I don't want to say on purpose because I just ruined all my quali laps, but of course I wanted to start P12. Then the start was so messy. Got sandwiched with Sasak, I think, and he spun in front of me. But yeah, then I could stay with the sovereignness quite easy, so pulled away from the back. But as soon as they were gone, Knut behind me was just so quick the whole race. And then it said heavy rain at the end, so I thought, oh, surely it now is heavy rain enough for the Inters, but it just stayed on the point where drives were probably still quicker, and then pitted too early. My tires were already so dead and didn't get a puncture actually, but finished with 95% tires. So where luck wasn't on my side last week, where I got a puncture at 75%, it now was. So I just got P2 on luck. This game is so random. I can't believe it.
And there you are, finishing in second. Sam, any questions for our man second in the race?
No questions, but obviously congratulations for second place.
Wow, pretty rude.
Thank you.
Pretty rude, Sam.
I feel attacked by you now, Sam.
All right, well, Vapor
words.
Nuth, you have won the race. Talk us through that crazy French Grand Prix, as it always seems to be in Power Card. We always get some crazy results, lots of weird weather conditions. Talk us through that one, though.
Yeah, it's like last season where everyone's tires exploded too. Was absolute chaos at the start again. I don't even know what happened. I just went off track and then rejoined, and for some reason I won like 3 places or so. And yeah, then I got in a pretty lucky position because I think Rowan was ahead of me and he was pushing quite hard. So I was able to stay with him and I could also save my ES. And then when I overtook him, I had still 100% ES, so I started to push again to catch up to the front guys. And yeah, the rain pretty much hit perfectly for all of us hard runners. I was on like 70% or so. And yeah, I didn't feel like the rain was quite strong enough when the guys around me pitted. So I went for a lap longer. And that pretty much saved me at the end because everyone was struggling with tires and I was on like 72% on the last lap. So yeah, pretty lucky with the strategy, but also some few good fights and also a bit of chaos at the start. So yeah, it was quite enjoyable, the race.
So there you go, our man in first position. Sam, do you have questions for the race winner today?
Well, I do have questions. Obviously,
Wow.
congratulations for the win.
Ginger.
Yeah. I do have questions.
bad.
I have.
No one
I do
cares.
actually have one for Ginger that I've literally just thought of right now, but I'll go with
only,
Vapor in
only
this
through
one.
peer pressure.
Is it? No, it won't. But one quick thing, really. Did you practice for the rain in France? Because you were very rapid once you got onto the intermediates.
Funny enough, yeah, I did practice
Sweaty.
a ton, like probably more than in the dryers. But just because of pure coincidence, I just thought I would be fun. Like it would be fun to just go on the wet time trial and just
Yeah, sure.
try and
Sure.
just see where I can end up. So
Just did it
yeah, I
for fun.
practiced a ton and yeah, got really lucky with it.
Yeah, it seems to me like you're a bit of a time traveler. Then you knew there was rain coming in this race.
Yeah, of course.
Disgusting. No.
Didn't see some weather
It
there.
never not rains here at France. I've never had a league race. It hasn't rained at some point here.
It rains quite often, to be honest. Like in my races,
Yeah, same here.
pretty much every second race it rains, especially in France. So yeah.
Yeah, and my question for Ginger, which I thought of in the back of my head, and to do with Chapelele. He obviously went onto the soft tires. I'm guessing that was because his tires were basically about to blow up.
Yeah, he had even 10% more than I had. So if he would have stayed out, he would have gotten 105%. So yeah. Just that lap we pitted too early. We picked up like with the inters on a little bit too dry of a track. We probably picked up like 15% of tire wear alone in that only lap. So that's probably why the tires were so shit. And yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh, Knut is coming out of the pits. He probably has cold tires. I can maybe do something. But as soon as he came out, I had no grip at all. My tires were overheating. Yeah, it just sucked. And I just thought, like, okay, let me just secure this P2 with the tire wear. But the Knut was just so quick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is it. There are your top two in the race. Vapor Noof winning his second race of the season. Afro Ginger on the podium once again, as it seems to always be in some form or fashion. Great result for everybody, and it was a great race to watch. Sam, always a pleasure to commentate alongside you. And Sam, do you remember what the race is for next round?
The race will be in Montreal, Canada, for the Canadian Grand Prix.
All right, so the Canadians at least have some form of racing this season. Unfortunately, they didn't get the real one, but they'll be getting it in PSGL F4 because, of course, that's what they all wanted. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure to commentate. My name is Noah Clark. You've been joined by Sam Thompson. You've been watching live coverage of the Formula 4 World Championship in PSGL's PlayStation divisions. And make sure to leave a like on the live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another live stream from us. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourselves a wonderful night.